it done early for Nongshim Redforce, even with how strong their bot lane is. I don't know if they can stand up to just the sheer power of Hanwha Life. Okay, yes, very good. that is definitely the way to go, because don't give Italy. Limit that man.
Yeah, I've actually been just kind of quietly surprised. I didn't say anything about it, you know, but that Hanwha Life, I feel like they've been very good at their drafts so far, in terms of at least reading the other teams, right? They always come out here and they're like, you're not playing this, the other guy is not playing that, and we're going to take all away your comfort picks and the stuff that you're doing well on, and then we're going to beat you.
Seraphine open. I would like to see Hanwha Life pick it up here. I think that we've gone over this countless times. It is a pick that just in terms of raw power is so incredibly strong. Although a problem that we've seemingly run into is where teams like, I think it's permaban in scrims, right? And I think that teams don't get it to play on stage. And then when it does actually come out, we do see that players actually have kind of a rough time playing around the strengths of the champion, which, as we have pointed out time and time again, are actually bonkers, right? Like the sustain, the healing, the ultimate, the utility, it all speaks for itself, but it is actually going to slip through the initial draft here, as Johan will be able to play his second game of Ude here, and Hanwha Life then is going to need to find some strong lanes, and a couple of the strong prior lanes in the form of the Renaxin and the Lucian have already been banned out.
Yeah, it's pretty interesting to see some of these bans and the way it will shape this draft. We may see some different stuff today in this game specifically. The Olaf is being hovered, but we don't really like the Olaf nowadays. He's not really seeing a lot of play, especially after some of the item nerfs and now the jungle nerfs coming in. But we are going to see Peanut actually prioritizing the pick here, so wants to play that Olaf into the Udyr.
In theory, Nongshim Redforce does have counter picks here, so if they lock in a support further, think something like a Nautilus or maybe an Alistar, and then they save their last two picks for possibly getting a counter pick, then they can actually enable this Olaf. And in the context of this game, which is definitely going to be whoever gets an early lead probably wins, because Nongshim don't really win if they don't have an early lead, and Hanwha Life, even if they can just slow down the early game, they will be fine. It will be the Alistar pick up here. Hanwha Life is just going for a pure comfort here, where you're saying, okay, Nongshim, even if you do find an early lead, it doesn't matter what the game state is. With this composition already, we're going to be fine in the late game, right? Like, you have consistent damage, you have front line. One downside of this, though, is that Nongshim actually can run you over, and like I said before, they have counter picks available. I might look for a really strong set of solo lanes here, and look through an opening, maybe exploit some of the early game weaknesses that Hanwha Life have showed against, for example, Live Sandbox.
Yeah, and you talk about counter picks, I mean, they've already shown what they're playing on the top side of the map. So it's like, okay, we know exactly what we want to go into. We're going to try to cut down some of their potential in the bottom side, allow Duckdom and Kellen to get that early game lead that they have been getting so often in their matches. And we're going to see the Jinx ban. You know, we didn't talk about this too much, but Jinx is coming in a lot with the buffs on 11.4, and of course, they're playing against Deft, so you want to ban away that champion.
Yeah.
Straight up.
Even though, like, I love the Aatrox ban as well. Rich's Aatrox is kind of a league of its own, right? Like, it's one of the champions where he's always look comfortable, and it fits really well in this composition with prior against the Sign, so that's really good. The Gnar, I'm not too odd about it. I don't think Rich is one of our players who gets, like, has his Gnar card. You know, he has the license to Gnar out.
Not a lot of top laners have that license.
No, it's Calm, it's Kingen, maybe Doran, and that's pretty much it from the top of my head.
Exactly.
Syndra, you know, get the prio, get this really strong early 2v2. I'm loving what we're seeing here from Nongshim so far. I think, as we said before, if Hanwha Life get into the late game, you're in deep trouble. Anyway, as it will be the Lovers bot lane here, and this is a lane that I think is not particularly strong, and this is a problem for Johan with his Udyr, but it is very resilient. It's pretty decent at any point of the game. It skills super well. So as a whole, the comp from Hanwha Life is super consistent here, but oh, do it. Okay.
Top Cassio. It's back in the top lane here in the hands of Rich once again.
Baby.
And it's going up against Sion, right? Sion's not going to be able to do anything against that Cassiopeia, maybe after level 6, but I like it.
Oh my god, that's so good, because also look at the amount of mobility available, like particularly Chovy and Vista. Their lives are going to be a lot harder with this miasma. And in terms of like straight up matchups, a problem that we've seen with the Sign is actually killing him. let me tell you, if there is a champion that's like, yeah, please give me a tank to just freely hit, it is the Casio. The downside of this is, though, is that Peanut is going to have to give a lot of attention to this top side, right? Because Casio, strong as she is, she's naturally going to be looking to trade. She's naturally going to be pushing up. And if Johan ever shows up, you are very squishy, especially pre-6. And if you fall behind in this matchup, you're still not going to have a good time.
Yeah, absolutely. And we'll see. I mean, Peanut's been having some really great performances nowadays, and I'm really looking forward to seeing if he can kind of revitalize the Olaf. We just don't see too much Olaf nowadays, especially after some of the nerfs. And taking a look at this pick ban as well, the other thing that struck me is that Chovy's back on Azir, and this is the one champion. He's played so many different champions so far in this split. He's 0-3 on Azir. So he's actually looking for his first win on this champion in this first game.
That's not something we say about Chovy very often, though.
Yeah.
Like, we can all agree on that. And this is scarily reminiscent of the kind of draft that Liv Sandbox had against Hanwha Life. That is where they looked weakest. So I'm going to be looking at one. Can Nongshim actually utilize the incredibly strong 2v2 that they have in both top and mid? The prio that they provide the Olaf to actually get objectives on the map, or is Hanwha Life's defensive play going to be strong enough? Because as Hanwha Life, if you just get into a situation where you're, 15, 20 minutes into the game, 2 3K gold lead, you're golden.
Absolutely. Well, Chovy wants to set down the fun right from the get-go. No more cowbell, unfortunately. We could always use some more cowbell. Kellen throws up the question mark sign. He's like, don't you know about the cowbell, Chovy? Apparently not.
I like the cowbell.
We'll see if they go for a little poke in here. Maybe just drop down a ward or something like that. Maybe just chilling in the brush. As Peanut is still back in his own jungle.
I think it shows from Morgan to go for the grass pair is pretty interesting, considering that generally you won't really be able to proc it. I think in a lot of cases you could go for like the Glacial Augment or the Unsealed Spellbook here, which will provide you with a little bit more utility. So
even Comet.
Yeah, that's a blast from the past.
Yeah, I just feel like I'm totally on the same page with you. I'm not a big fan of the Grasp here against Cassiopeia specifically, who, by the way, did go Conquer in this case. So no Phase Rush, no Arcane Comet of her own or anything like that. So.
And this does augment your strength in both like a later game team fighting situation as well as a straight up 1v1. So it's going to make Morgan's life even more miserable. And it's pretty miserable, as we can see here. He's not going to have a lot of fun in this lane.
He did dodge a couple of poisons, though. I mean, that's
something.
That's definitely the way to start off, at least. Liked his movement so far. Rich being as annoying as possible. Of course, starting the tier. This is, a relatively start for the Cassiopeia in general, but especially in the top lane against a tank. It's like you just get free stacking tier right from the get-go.
And here we see like kind of the expected power. This is not supposed to happen though, because this is like something consistently we've seen with Syndra is them being able to like exchange their mana buff early priority by winning the trades. But this is Chovy we're talking about, right? So he just wins lane regardless, even though you're not supposed to in this match. I'd like to reiterate that because it's one of the reasons why Syndra has been so popular for players like Showmaker is because the early game trading power is so prohibitively strong, and with a combination of your corrupting pods and your cookies, you can just continuously have prio. But Chovy with this Comet Azir has actually been getting the better hand of these trades, leading to a situation which Peanut might not have as much dominance as he otherwise wants to. But with Rich having top lane prio, I still expect there to be a Scuttle coming out here. Johan is there though.
Waiting in the brush here, Peanut just running straight into him. Looking for that early trade. Down comes the Cassiopeia, but take a look at the mid lane. Bay is not here. Peanut is going to get knocked up so far into the air. And yes, you can teleport, but it is about 5 years late as they're trying to get in and make the 2v3 happen now. Rich is going to get the kill on a Chovy, but he is most definitely going to go down. As a double kill to Johan already is pretty nice for Hanwha Life.
Super good start here early on for Hanwha Life because as we said before, if you're slightly behind with this comp, you're more than happy. And that is the worst feeling, is walking into... This is why you never go near brushes when you don't know where Sion is, right? Because, like, this feels so bad. But you should know that this is coming. You don't see him anywhere. You're not allowed to get this close to the wall. And even though the power of Olaf early on is really strong, if you get CC'd like this, it's just not going to work out for you ever again. You need to be able to auto-attack. You need to be able to actually start spamming these axes. You can't do any of that if you get 100 to 0'd. And then, as you said, the teleport from Bay coming in really late, very much a kind of after the fact kind of play where you're just like, I don't really know why you would still go for that. So what threw me off there is there's a Dutch expression which is mustard after your meal, which is like coming after the fact. Let's hold that. Never mind.
It's worked out.
Yeah, but it's fine. So that was, I was like, is that a thing in English? And I don't think it is. I really wanted to use it.
Why would you have mustard after?
Oh, that's the point.
I don't get it.
Well, that's the point. It's like an expression for when something like comes in, but it's too late. Like it has no value anymore.
Yeah, because you would have mustard with your meal.
Exactly.
Wow.
Yeah, thank you.
That makes a lot of sense.
Yeah, but then I have
Maybe
to
I'll
like...
start using that.
I hope you will.
Try to bring it into the English language.
It definitely threw me off a little bit there, and I thought that, you know, I take the time to explain.
I think Rich might be dead here.
Possibly.
Johan is just so fed, and there's no flash on the Cassiopeia. Yeah, well, oh, he's actually going to miss the knock-up. Morgan getting a bit greedy with that one. It's not going to matter anyways. Peanut is just like, yeah, I can't help you, buddy. I don't know what you expect of me. And this is kind of what you were talking about. Peanut was here, but at this point, not able to help out.
And I didn't really get to dive into this early, but this is a situation where you often, this is one of the reasons why you often do see the phase rush on a Cassio, especially in top lane. Her weakness is she is super susceptible to ganks. And that is not something that's ever going to go away. With phase rush, you at least have a modicum of survivability. In this scenario, it's basically, as Rich was saying, if Johan comes top, I just kind of die. And even with the CS league that he's been able to find for himself, he's at an experience deficit, and Sion is the type of champion that doesn't really care too much about like a pure CS deficit.
Yeah.
We got his job done anyway.
He doesn't really care. I mean, he's going to sit there, he's going to build a couple items, get tanky, and that's about it. He doesn't need to scale to be some kind of split-pushing monster or something like that. Not exactly that type of champion. And having this much dominance in the jungle in the Udyr versus Olaf matchup just makes me feel like all of these objectives should just be Johan's. He could pretty much kind of just take whatever he wants at this point. I think it might be difficult for Peanut to do much against that with a lot of his lanes falling behind.
And this is something that we've talked about it again and again, and it's one of the reasons why we don't really like the Udyr and why we really don't like the Olaf. This is a super volatile matchup, while the jungler that gets an early lead is just going to basically dominate it from here on out, because as Olaf, if you can't actually duel and like get prio, it's really hard. However, this bot lane pressure has been really good from Dr. and Kalin, and that does still open up this objective here. I don't know if they want to go for a contest, because I feel like they might if the blast cone is up.
Bottom
look like it.
Bottom looks pretty even, and even Deft is trying to push out, and there's a lot of pings that go down onto the dragon. It seems like Hanwha Life know he's taking it, but they're just like, yeah, whatever, let him take it. So pretty interesting there to not see too much priority on the Drake on the side of Johan.
And I think that it was mainly the bot lane state that kind of became a bit of a problem for Hanwha Life, where as Deft and Vista, you need to shove out that wave first, and if you don't have prio there, Johan can run in, but like Udyr on his own, he's not that strong, right? Especially with Kalin kind of moving in between the lane and the river. But it's just one Drake. It's not an insurmountable problem, and it's still a 1k gold lead here for Hanwha Life. And we talked about that stat. If they can just hold on to just this little lead, past 25 minutes, it's 100% win rate, you know? So just get there, and you're good to go.
Yeah, as we are going to take a look here at some of these Xayah stats. She's on a 6-game winning streak. You see that Bao has been the main guy that's just been like, Xayah is #1 in his mind at least. And yeah, you know, it's pretty good, especially in the Kai'Sa lane, because you kind of just sit here, farm it out, and then you scale up to a very nice spot, as they are going to force the Ragnarok out here early. And Johan, he's like, yeah, I couldn't go for the Drake, but this Rift Herald is mine, sir. You are not going to be able to challenge me here. And even with the Cassio up there in the top side, because Peanut had to Ragnarok and run away, that will just be the Rift Herald going the way of Hanwha Life.
And that's going to make this gold lead that is already existing for Hanwha Life even bigger. And this goes back to what we said earlier. Nongshim's comp, it's really good, but you can't fall behind. Like, you're just not allowed to. You don't have a super reliable front line. You just have Kalin, who also wants to be looking for engage. And then you have, like, lanes that individually counter in the form of the Casio. But if then those early skirmishes just go completely as wrong as they possibly can go, the Udyr gets fed early, and you start losing these early objectives, it becomes such a hard game to play out for you, because the Hanwha Life comp, it's so well-rounded, right? Like, if it can get into, like, a relatively even position, which right now is not even relatively even, like, they're 1k gold ahead with Shelly still in the pocket.
Yeah.
It's just, I don't really know what you do as Nongshim. It's so hard to really make it work.
Yeah, you're kind of at the whim right now of Chemtank Udyr. He already picked it up, I mean, before 10 minutes in this game.
Oh.
And he can kind of just go wherever he pleases. It's not Mundo, but it's close enough. Maybe even better, depending on what we've seen in recent games as well. And yeah, I mean, I'm just curious which lane he chooses to gank at this point. I feel like mid and top are relatively weak and available for ganks. For now, he's just going to clear out his entire jungle.
And there's not that much to play for right now as Hanwha Life, because, and I really like this. I feel like Hanwha Life is one of the teams that does get this, is they don't need to do anything. Like, you can make plays.
This is what I was talking about. The flash comes out, you dodge the stun. Miasma not going to help out too much. The teleports are coming in, and they can't quite stretch onto Rich here, but Tovi also teleporting up to the top side. They're going to force that Ragnarok out once again. And they don't get the kill onto Rich, but they do get his flash. And a traded teleports with the pushing lane means that Hanwha Life are just fine.
Oh, and also look at the wave that Chovy left in mid lane, right? Like, they both teleported, but Chovy actually shoved this wave into the turret, meaning that Bay's going to lose a lot of CS. As is, you know, tradition for Chovy, he is not actually leading this time. Deft actually getting the better of him, so a little bit disappointed in him there. Not sure about how I feel about that imminent poke vote now. It's a bit disappointing, you know. We need to hold everyone to different standards, and the standards for Chovy's CS numbers are really high. It's his own fault, but still.
Yeah, I wonder why that is. Maybe he roams one too many times, helping out his team too much. As Johan just going to come and drop this down in the bottom lane, actually. The Rift Herald here. Of course, the Scion up on the top side wasn't able to get too much pushing pressure onto a Cassiopeia, so we're not looking for first turret blood or anything like that at this point in the game. Just going to drop it down and feed Deft even more. And that's always a pretty feels-good moment there.
And coming into this match, we talk about Peanut being like the pivotal member. He's currently 1.3k gold behind. Not a good place to be.
Yeah, as Johan's actually getting in here onto Peanut. The Ragnarok is still down, as they will force the flash out of the Olaf already. As Chovy is in a really wonky spot. He's being chased down by Rich here. Gonna miss the Emperor's Divide, but the wall is good enough. That's all he needed. That's actually a really cute choke there for the Azir. It's actually the perfect width, I suppose, that wall to just stop anyone from chasing you.
This will mean a second Drake here, though, for Nongshim. With Chovy having to back another thing's teleport available to do the play they made up earlier on top side. I don't think you need to contest here, Hanwha Life.
Yeah.
I hope they don't.
Well, it's 3v4. And Johan, you know, you can see he's considering it, at least maybe looking to pick up the scraps, but there are none to be picked up, as it will be an Infernal Soul, actually, that comes in here. Funnily enough, even with Cloud Soul, the other option in this case. As we'll take another look here at the gank on the top side.
Yeah, this was such a good sidestep, right? And like, Morgan turns and Johan sidesteps. I'm really happy they showed us this, because it's just like, it's been a while, but it's such a cute mechanical play from both of them, really showing why the Cassiopeia does always have these innate weaknesses. And Rich has no flash, so he basically can't really do anything in this lane, ever, because he has no vision. Right, they know, they do see Johan now, but you just can't move up. At this point, I think even Morgan, like, if he hits you with an ult, you're still a really sad Snake. And it's something that I don't know if they're really going to be able to deal with it coming into the rest of this map. They do have 2 Drakes, but that's really the only positive thing I can say for Nongshim at this point in time.
Yeah, and when we get into scenarios like that, what often happens is the team that's ahead yet doesn't have the Drakes gets to stack whatever the Soul is a lot, right?
Boy.
So we could see Hanwha Life. Well, this might just be actually dead Duck Dom here. He is going to ult and flash away as the Ignite is ticking, but he will survive, actually, after all of that. As Jeff, pretty low. Kellen thinking about it. The flash comes in. He's got Ignite. Kellen's looking for that solo kill. And, well, it's not going to work out this time around as the Unbreakable will come in as he's just being chased down the lane as Johan will be looking for more. And Deft, at the end of it all, will pick up some beef.
And it felt like an overextension from Hanwha Life, but they are still firmly in control. Going to pick up the turret here as well. And that's going to elevate the gold lead. The one upside for Nongshim is they stalled it a little bit, right? So it's not like a full plate first turret, but it's still not a good position to be in. The teleport comes in.
Okay, backing on a ward. This is what can happen. The Effort Frost is going to miss. Rich still on the chase, and another blocking wall. Chovy's figured out this is here. He's like, yeah, I don't need to knock you away or up or anything. I'll just put a wall in your face. See you later.
Chovy's just like, no, I don't want any snakes in my house. Get out of here. Closes the door every single time. And it is actually, like, we haven't talked about this yet, but like this is here. If you get through the early game unscuffed, like the only one who can really reliably deal and get through this wall is Peanut of the ults or Duckdom of the ults, and that's pretty much it, right? Like, it's actually a really big problem. And it looks really funny when you're Hanwha Life, when you're an Hanwha Life fan, but for Nongshim, it's a rough position to be in. They are trying to up the tempo here, though, which I quite like, because you need to get something done.
Yeah, Kellen going on a little bit of an escapade here. It looks like he didn't know that Morgan actually spotted him, so we might have some more dead cow. No flash available for Kellen, as, yeah, he's just dead meat here. The Rift Herald is going to go down. Peanut will pick that one up, but it is just the second Rift Herald. It's now Peanut on the run. Kind of a silly-looking Scion train comes in, and Nongshim will disengage. But Hanwha Life gets so much out of this. They get the kill, they get first track onto the mid lane. As you can see, even Morgan is helping to zone them away.
And these first item spikes have been hit by Hanwha Life, right? Chovy's picked up the Ludens. Not sure if Morgan really wants to be here. He has the help from the rest of his team, so he's going to be fine. And this is what we were talking about earlier. Even with the Sign falling behind in the early game, if you don't actually keep him down and like really neutralize him, dive him in again and again, he's always going to find a point of relevancy. And here we see again this play, and I think the point where you use the Featherstorm offensively is where you're like, oh, I don't know how I feel about that. With a really nice play, there's of course no Feather Recall available there. But the teleport is available here already for Rich. And I think if Kellen goes for this play, you need to channel that teleport on that ward right there when you go in for this. Because with waiting so long, or not even utilizing it at all, you're just overextending into a roam that you know is coming. With everyone from Hanwha Life on the map missing. This is a cute counter though. Back in the ward, it's always bad. It never feels good.
At least they were together for that, but not together in the end. As Vista does make his way out, and Chovy will once again save himself and his ally in this case. And yeah, this is what I was talking about, right? We have the Infernal Soul, and yes, Nongshim have a couple, but can they actually challenge any of the Infernal Drakes is really the question. When they're down already more than 3,000 gold at this point. They're going to try for it here as Nongshim grouping up on the right side. They're going to drop down the Rift Herald, get some pressure onto the bottom lane. Hanwha Life taking this one very slow. They're not just running at the Drake, still showing a lot of respect as here comes the Scion. Nice Cassiopeia ultimate onto the Udyr, who is burning down, but that is a massive ultimate coming in from Vista. And this is just going to be the huge cleanup from Hanwha Life. Peanut gets the one kill onto Chovy. But Feathers come in from all sides, and Hanwha Life will clean up the fight.
Oh, it's so beautifully played from Hanwha Life there. As you said, they play it slow, but they can afford to. They have a beefy front line, and they know, unless one of us gets picked off at the start of this fight in a straight-up 5v5, we are strong enough, right? You have two huge threats, and we see that even though Chovy goes down there at the end, Vista creates so much space for the rest of his team. And if you win this team fight as Nongshim, you might still be in this game. Right now, it's looking so dire.
Yeah, it's really rough, right? They were really trying to force this fight. They don't want to get scaled on. It's a nice ultimate from Rich. They almost caught Johan, but then Vista just smurfs on all 5 of them. Literally all of them. Every single one.
Oh, that is just amazing play from Vista. And it ties into what we said coming into this match. This is a play where I feel like at the beginning of the split, there was some question marks around this, right? Everyone was high on def, but the bot lane as a whole wasn't really rated. And then to see him have performances like this, where he combos with Chovy so well as well, it really ties into what we were saying earlier, that Hanwha Live is no longer just the Chovy or the Deft show, right? Like, it's not one of these players that have to pop off. Everyone else is carrying their weight. Johan has done exceptional. Morgan has become more and more consistent. And Vista, I think that fight that we just saw kind of speaks for itself. And
yeah,
the end score is Hanwha Live is up 4.5k with a composition that outskills insanely well. And they denied Soul Point. As good as it gets.
Yeah, I mean, it's, you know, maybe if all 5 of them lived, that would have been better. But you can't always get everything, can you? They got just enough. As Morgan gonna push that away. He's getting dove by 3 people. He just says, yep, see you later, guys. I gotta take the train.
Is he gonna teleport out?
To Busan. Yeah, he's just out of here. I don't know. He's just, he's like, yeah, I'll see you guys in game 2. I'm not playing this game with you guys anymore.
I mean, there's no turret. He can just buff to the rest of his team.
Let's watch Duckdom try to tickle him here. Wow, actually, Vista does commit to the ultimate. They're really respecting Peanut's wraparound here, and now he might actually be in a little bit of trouble with Bay coming up here. No more ultimate available. He will flash the wall. Scat of the Week is there, but now we've got Johan, we've got Chovy around, and Deft in the wings. And so he will actually get away as Sion takes a great adventure.
That was a bit of a weird situation there. In the end, it's a really big win for Hanwha Live, because while we were following Sion's great escape, you know, the greatest, I want to say, prison escape movie since Shawshank Redemption. Very well done for Morgan, although he has to use his flash. Hanwha Live was just pushing topside. It was like 4 people there.
Yeah.
And they just got a turret, and like widened their gold lead even further. And even if you hit these item breakpoints later on as Hanwha Live, you're in a great spot. But it's the opposite of that. Like, they're ahead in every single way. Chovy hit his second breakpoint. Johan hit his second item, whereas Peanut and Bay, they're still like working on their second item, like a legendary. Bay just has an M-tome and a stacked tier, and that's it, right? Like, these are not any spikes to write home about. And we said before, in a deficit situation as Hanwha Live, you can carry on. And I love that what we see here from Chovy as well is like he goes for the defensive itemization. You can criticize the fact that he won't do as much roll damage, but in this comp, if you can survive, that's good enough.
Not sure about this positioning here for Bay. We've seen mid laners get caught out in these side lanes many times. And I think this might just be another one of those. As Chovy, this time he's going to get the sweep, and he will also get the kill. Bay will go down once again, just farming a little bit too far down the top lane.
And that's going to open up the Baron. Hanwha Live and an incredibly quick one here. I don't know if Nongshim can do anything, but giving this up is basically admitting defeat Valdez.
Yeah, take a look at this Baron damage you were talking about. It 22 minutes in. They're already down to half health. Ritz is getting poked away. They will look for the turn. As Kellen tanking up a lot here. Johan getting pretty low, but the wraparound from Vista again is pretty huge as he will be going down, but now Def trying to go over the wall, looking for that YouTube highlight as Johan will be able to finally smack down the Kaisa. As now Teleport finally coming in from Bay, looking to follow up on this fight. We'll see if he can do anything. The answer will be no, as the Teleport not going to get much. I suppose he's in position now for the Infernal and getting vision for that.
It's actually as good as it gets for Nongshim Redforce. Like, when the dust settles, that looked really good for Hanwha Live initially, but because they used a lot of their engage tools right from the get-go, it actually became hard for them to get on top of the really relevant people in Rich and Bay, meaning that Dogdom, yes, he gets blown up early on, but look at Rich here, because him being able to kite away here with some really nice zoning from Callan means that Cassiopeia is one of the champions that actually can get through. And the fact that Vista finds his flank is really, really good, but the damage here is already done, right? Because yes, Def gets the flashy play, but he also sacrifices his own life for it. But that wraparound from Vista, while it looked really good, it also required a lot of time. They needed to wait.
Yeah.
And you don't really have the time against Casio. I still feel, though, like Hanwha Life, they have their ultimates available. They should be fine here.
I think we're going to see the train arriving at the station here in just a moment. Here comes Morgan, right down the middle, looking for the Syndra. And he is going to get booped away, but Bay takes a huge amount of damage. They're just trying to get Peanut out of the pit so they can get the Dragon. Knockup goes on to Rich, as he will eventually go down. Hanwha Life, finish the Dragon. Yeah, there you go. You get the Infernal. Now you can go for the kills. Pick up a couple on the backside of that one, as the double will actually go to Morgan on the side.
I think the first win for Chovy might be coming in here, Valdez. It's looking good for Hanwha Life. And yet again, you see why we talk about them being a team that with this composition, just get to the mid game, just get to the 5v5 stage and you're going to be fine. And they show it so clearly here. And as Nongshim, someone is always going to get caught. And outside of Kellen, you don't really have anyone that can frontline reliably for you. Peanut is just not that tanky. And that creates a situation which Rich, Bay, and Doctom just don't have any space to get anything done. It's pretty close, but Johan, he was ready for the Void Seeker.
Yeah, actually perfect positioning there to block that one. As we're going to take another look at the fight. Basically, Sion gets a really nice engage, and then they push Peanut out of the pit. And a little bit of smacking them with their wallets as well.
I think this is also one of the reasons why the Sion has risen so much into prominence, because with Rich going for the big player, yes, he's doing a lot of damage, but Chovy stopwatches, Vista immediately re-engages on top of him, and you're not actually getting through anyone, right? And Morgan creates so much space on the bottom half of the map that while Rich, on like the top half of the river, is trying to get as much done as he possibly can, the rest of his team can't really follow up because there's a big beefy boy right in front of him. And then this just creates a situation in which, as Nongshim, you're like trying to force, but then you really can't with everyone. And if you don't blow up someone immediately, the sustained damage from Hanwha Life is just absurd.
Yeah. At this point, with 2 Infernal Drakes and Azir Xayah alone, not to mention your massive front line of Sion and Udyr, feels like Hanwha Life really just have this one in the bag. I'm not really digging the top Casio. We've seen a lot of its weaknesses in a couple of games that Rich has been playing it. I feel like it's not really what a lot of teams are playing in terms of the meta nowadays as well. We don't see many caster top laners anymore, not even Ryze. And it's more just the beefy boys, right? That's why we see so much Sion. I was actually really happy to see the priority shown on the Sion. I'm a big fan of this pick nowadays. I've been very vocal about it, and Morgan's had a fantastic game on it here as well.
I'm a simple man, Valdez. I see a straight up front to back team fight with a beefy man in front. I'm happy. You know, like but you see here as well the power of it. Even if you fall behind, you can play well. But Hanwha Life, they've had this game under control basically from the beginning. There were a couple of mistakes left and right, but when push came to shove, it never felt like they weren't on the right track. And then at this point in time as Nongshim, like, your champions just don't really do anything. Bay's not going to get through anyone. Peanuts can't really get anything going.
All right, well, they're going to find Johan in the front, and they do have a lot of pick here, as they will take down the Udyr. Kellen gets very low. Morgan soaks up an insane amount of damage, as they do eventually take out the support from the side of Nongshim. But still, getting that pick means that Hanwha Life not super confident just yet. They're going to stick around, actually, and continue the push.
Still have the Baron buff available, and Morgan can, you know, just freely shove in his way if he doesn't have to be afraid of anyone. And with Kellen gone, there's no hard engage available for Nongshim, so actually moving in onto these members of Hanwha Life is really hard.
Peanut is just like...
Go away, Sion. I don't like you.
He's taking more damage from the buffed Baron minions than Sion has taken from him.
There's also a bramble vest, I'll have you know. That you know, as all of that hurts, fellas. Yeah. That's painful.
It does. As we're gonna take a look at the replay here, Johan a little bit too overconfident on the Udyr.
I said, yeah, you know, they can't really kill anyone. I mean, if you just get comboed on the turret by Alistair Syndra, that can of course still happen. Even though Johan has had a really good game so far, this actually does take a lot of tempo away. In the end, with the teleport coming in from Morgan to create pressure, doesn't matter, you still get the bot side inhibitor, meaning that you will have that down when the Baron comes in, right? Like, which is amazing for you, and you will pick up a third Infernal Drake, and you have a team composition that is just so strong at this point in time. You've hit your 3 item spikes. Hanwha Life just They can play it as slow as they want here, Veldus. I think that this is the point where, as Nongshim, you're already in your mind going, okay, what do we need to change for game number 2?
Well, I think they could start with the draft. I'm not, I'm not really a huge fan. I think on paper, some of the, the counter picks, quote unquote, for lane that we saw, especially the top side, maybe, but
it works.
Not a huge fan. I'm not really sure what's going on here. You're just not allowed to be here. He doesn't even have an inhibitor, let alone an inner or inhibitor turret. So with zero vision in the jungle, that's just a out of position play.
There's also a Drake coming up, so you know they're bot side. Like, you know that they're going to be there. Kai'Sa is a pretty good tank buster, okay? She has Kraken Slayer and Lord Dominic's.
Yeah.
I see Morgan standing
there
like...
He's at full health.
Haha, got him.
Yeah.
Just...
Morgan was the one running after the Kai'Sa, after Duck Down. And yeah.
The tempo teleport coming out from Chovy, just so they can get a shoving lane. The other lane's already shoving, just from the fact that the inhibitors are down. Now Hanwha Life can rotate with everyone, take complete control of their top side. Nongshim can't move in. I don't think they can face check. The only one who can do it somewhat is Callan, and he will have to blow everything.
What's going on? Can't go there.
No.
You don't have vision. You are, okay, now you don't have Ragnarok or Flash. I think we're going to see a dead Olaf here in just a bit, and that's kind of the state of Olaf right now. Obviously that plays, that isn't the reason, but yeah, just Hanwha Life getting multiple picks. Nongshim a little bit out of position here.
I feel like this, both this pick on Peanut and the pick on Rich before kind of solidifies what I said earlier. Like, Nongshim have F-tapped out of this game, right? Like, it's still ongoing, but this is an unsurmountable gold lead. Unless we see another colossal misplay from Hanwha Life. The last time it was just Johan, and they're going in here.
Yeah. Look at how much damage they're trying to do to Sion. He's still above half health at this point. Johan is just in the face of Duck Dom, doesn't even die to him. Nicer little scat of the week comes out here from Bay, but there's just zero follow-up at this point. Triple kill will go the way of Chovy. He's looking for maybe the penta here, if Peanut will be so generous. But doesn't quite look like it. They're just going to sit under their turrets. Vista going to get the nice knock up here. Perfect stopwatch timing. Give that one over to Depth as well, as Peanut will eventually go down. Not before he does get the kill, though, onto Depth. It looks like Hanwha Life has ended this game finally at about 31.5 minutes, as they will take down the Nexus turrets and then go ahead and take down the Nexus. This is going to be 1-0 to the side of Hanwha Life.
Cool, calm, and collected from Hanwha Life. A little bit of fun there at the end. Do you really need to